Hey guys, it's Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. You're watching another beat making tutorial. Today's video is a Wiz Khalifa kind of type beat, and I'll give you the reasons why I say that later on. It's mainly because I use the vocal effects again that I kind of did in that kind of Drake and Future type beat in a beat that I did before called Alchemy. But this one, or the kind of, sorry, it was actually critical that it was that other beat. And I have that beat making video. The link will be in the description if you want to watch that. This is where I use vocal effects to kind of act as instruments in the song, and they just kind of keep the song busy, and you'll see what I mean as I go through it. Now I'll keep the structure the same like I do all the time. I'll just kind of play the intro and the verse and then the hook, and kind of break down the instruments that I use within the song. So you can see this is the intro. And I'll pause it there. And you can hear the sounds that in it. There's kind of like this kind of bass kind of sound. Then there's kind of these kind of riffs in the background, some vocal effects, and I'll just kind of go through each instrument. So the first one was the bass sound, and I'll just show you what kind of sound that I use for it. Okay, so we'll just kind of take you through that. Ooh, it's a bit big. And we'll just show you the bass sound in it. Okay. And you can hear the sound in it now. It's kind of... It sounds like a really filtered bass, and it really is it's in massive. It's a bass sound called Menace bass. I basically just picked that patch, and then I kind of EQ'd it a lot. You can hear the sound that I kind of, like if you listen to it with the EQ and without the EQ, it sounds completely different. I cut off a lot of the lows, boosted a bit at the mid section here, and cut off all the highs off it. And to listen to it without anything. I'll just turn off my EQ. And you can hear the sound is different. It sounds a bit more pitchy. It sounds a bit more thicker with that, but I didn't want that because I'm going to get thickness sound within the kind of bass that comes in a minute. It's called the thumb bass that comes in a minute. And that just provides my bass later on. Now, I'll just show you the instrument again. The chords are just simple, and it doesn't really do much. And it's just like, it just kind of plays two notes back and forth, and then it has a bit of a climb at the end. And we just kind of go to the next one. And the next one is more of a pad sound, and I'll show you that sound now. And this is called All Souls, and it's actually in Massive. And it's just a synth within Massive. And I'll show you what that sounds like. And all I did was just kind of use this as a pad. And again, it's playing the same notes as that bass. And you can see where the EQ is cut off all the lows, boosted a bit at the mid section, and cut off a lot of the highs. And we can just hear what it sounds like without the EQ. Without the EQ, it sounds a bit different. And then with the EQ, sounds a bit cleaner. It sounds like a cleaner sound with the EQ. And you can hear together they just kind of complement each other. It's just kind of making the thicker sounds and just kind of getting rid of the quietness within the song. So we'll just play that again. And you can see that I've brought in a spreader there as well, just to kind of spread the sounds around so it doesn't sound like it's kind of centered in the mix. It just gives me some more room to create a wider stereo field. And then we bring in these kind of sounds here. I'll just show you what these are. And both of these kind of play the same kind of thing. They play the same kind of melody. And you can hear what the melody is playing. And that's in massive. And it's called Morphins. And I'll just show you the EQ. And basically, and you can hear the little melody that I created for it. And that's just kind of the lead melody in it. I cut off some of the lows, boosted a little at the highs as well, just to give it an extra feel. And then I kind of put in another sound, and this is playing the same one. This is called Plucko Bar. It's playing the same melody as that Morphins sound. This one is actually in Sylenth. It's actually in Sylenth 1. And it's just a sound in one of the patches that I have. And it's got a bit of reverb and some EQ on it. And we'll just listen to what that sounds like. And it's just thickening that, that Morphin sound. And they together to just make a thicker sound and just gives it more weight within the mix. And then a vocal sample comes in as well. And basically I got this vocal pack from the producer's choice, and I just kind of chopped it up and just played it out on the keyboard. I'll show you where it is in the mix. And I just basically took all these vocal samples, dropped them into Logic, into the ESX in Logic, and then I can play each one of them. I only use that one that you can hear. I only use that sample. I don't use the other ones. Really, I kind of have two other ones as well from a different pack, and they kind of just provide that kind of sound for me. And you can hear what it sounds like. I kind of did EQ it a bit. And you can see where I EQ'd it. I put a kind of a stock kind of EQ on the vocal, and then I kind of tweaked it to my own liking as well. Obviously there's a little bit of a bust reverb there as well, and some compression, some light compression as well. And you can hear the compression there as well. 1 second now. You can see the compression, and I have a spreader on there as well on that sound. 1 second now. I have a spreader there, and I kind of just spreaded the sound around as well, the vocals. And basically all I did was just play this one vocal sample all around in a keyboard. And it just plays different sounds over and over again. That's all I really did. And you can hear what I mean in that vocal sample. And then the last one is just another pad sound as well. And it's just playing one note. Well, playing two different notes. So it plays the low note and then it goes to the high note. And it just kind of changes the dynamic in the instrumental. And it just creates another kind of filter or another kind of feel in the mix. And that's a sound in Massive. And let me see where I got that sound. I got it in Massive, and it's called Antarctica. And I just basically used that sound as a pad. So we'll just listen to everything there again. And just before I actually get into that, I have two sections here that come in just before the hook, and it's just to kind of let everyone know that we're getting to that part of the song. So this one's called Bank Heartbeats, Synth Salient 1. And it's just an ARP, really. It's just an ARP sound, and it kind of beefs up the instrumental to break into the hook, or yeah, the hook really. And you can hear that there's got an arpeggiator on. It's got distortion, it's got chorus, delay, compression on it. It's called Heartbeat in Synologic, or in Salient 1. And the last sound I have is another vocal effect, really. And the track is called Green Absent, and the reason why I called it Green Absent was because I felt like this vocal sample that I had, I felt like the sample was saying green absent, so I don't know what she's actually saying, but I just found that sample, she sounded like she was saying that. She was actually saying that sound. 1 second, I will just play it here. Okay. And you can really hear what that sounds like, but it on its own, it kind of sounds a bit boring. It's when you bring in all these sounds together that basically that's how I make the beats, really. Is I have this one, I start off with that, I start off with this section, I start off with the bass, then I bring in another sound, another pad sound, and then I bring in some lead, and we have a melody, and I just thicken that up a bit more so it comes through in the mix. Then I added that vocal sound, and then I added that Antarctica sound. 1 second now. I added that Antarctica pad sound. And that Antarctica sound is doing something really cool as well. It's kind of floating around in the mix. It's just the nature of that synth. It's kind of moves around in the mix, and it kind of keeps a wide stereo field in the mix as well. And then just to kind of let everyone know they're going into the hook, I have these sounds here that come in next, so it doesn't sound like this is the same throughout. So you can hear it changes up a little bit. So we're going into the hook now. And just before I get in there, this Antarctica sound is really changing the dynamic of the verse. It's playing this quiet note quickly, and then it plays this extra one here. So you can hear it kind of build up gradually into that hook. It's kind of leading into that section, and it makes a good effect because I drop out all the kind of other instruments here, and I just let the vocal sample be the last thing that's heard. So you just listen to it again, and we'll play it on when it goes to the hook. And that's the hook. Then it comes in, and I'll just go through the drums and the hook. You can hear where that vocal sample was the last thing that was heard, and it was kind of just brought into that. And then I just kind of made the drums next. So we just listen to the drums. Go to the drum kick drum. Kick drum is kind of basic enough. Not really much happening. It's a standard kind of boom bap kind of beat. I think this kind of drum pattern, I kind of remember actually it was ASAP that I was actually trying to, it was like his song, It was an ASAP song that I was trying to, it'll come to me in a few minutes, but it was one of his songs that I was trying to emulate or trying to recreate. Um, and it was one of his songs. And this is the kind of drum beat that I kind of got from that beat. I think it was called No Problem. That's the beat. But I thought the beat kind of sounded more kind of stoner vibe, kind of Wiz Khalifa, but it does have that No Problems ASAP Rocky type as well to it. And you can hear the drums there now and that. And there isn't really much to them. It's kind of a standard pattern throughout the whole thing. And it's some kind of like a little bit of a snare kind of hit here and some hats that come in just to kind of change it up. One sec now, I'll bring in some more instruments. We'll just kind of go through all of them. That kick drum, I think it's standard kick drum that I use in most of them, most of my tracks. It's just in Ultra Beat in the drag and drop section. Yeah, it's the standard kind of kick 5 XT. It's in one of the Dirty South kind of trap kind of packs that I got from Producer's Choice. And I kind of just dragged and dropped them into Ultra Beat and just created this drum pattern. So we can just, and you can hear like each section. One second, I'll just go through each section. I'll let the loop play. Second now. So you can hear the kick there now. And there's a bit of reverb on that snare. You can see that I busted out. It's on bus 2, and my reverb is here. It's in Space Designer. It's on bus 2, and it's in Prince Hall 1. And I just get that kind of quick reverb. As you know, that I always do this. I kind of leave my faders at the same height at all time, and I just adjust how much reverb I want by moving the dial here, and I just kind of move it around until I get the amount of reverb that I actually want. So like I just kind of put a bus on it and put it to bus 2, and then I put it on. But it is pre-fader, or post-fader, sorry. So it's after, so I don't affect the original sound. So I still have the original sound, but I'm getting the effect just from that kind of bus track. Really, it's not really affecting too much. I'm still getting the original sound. Because I felt if I put it on here, I'm putting on too much processing power in all these instruments. It's better just to bust things out. Also, I felt that sometimes I ruin the effect on, if I kind of put too much reverb on these individual ones, I get too much reverb throughout the whole mix. So I lose the kind of original sound that I was actually looking for. So you can hear my sound without that kind of reverb. It was actually that snare that I wanted. I wanted a snappy snare. And next one is a reverb with more kind of reverb, more snare with a reverb. And it just kind of plays at every second note. It's just here, every second note it comes in. And we'll just listen to it. And it's just a quick reverb, so like a very quick reverbs. And the last one is just some kind of a really short snare roll. It actually even sounds more like a hat. And again, they're bussed with some reverb as well. And then I bring in some hi-hats. It's a nice standard hi-hat. You can see my velocities are pretty low. And you can see where I'm getting my hi-hat sound. That's in my EQ. And they're panned a little bit as well. As you can see, the velocities are kind of even, or a little bit mixed as well, so it doesn't sound boring. Added another hi-hat. Just a different sound, but a different hi-hat. Different hi-hat sample, but it's the same pattern. They're both the same pattern. And they just have two different sounds, but they sound nice together. And it just makes it sound like a drummer is actually playing it when you add those hi-hats in. It doesn't sound kind of boring. It kind of adds a nice flavor to it. Plus, especially with the reverb on as well. One second, I'll just take out the reverb to show you what it sounds like without the reverb. And I think with the reverb just makes a big difference. Sounds kind of boring, electronic. Adding a little bit of reverb. It's a nice little mix. And it opens the stereo feel throughout the whole track as well. Last but not least, in the drum section is the open hi-hats. You can hear when they come in as well. And they kind of come in every kind of second. They come in every kind of second hit of each bar as well. You can hear. And I just kind of played around with the velocities there of that as well. So like one is like a little bit louder than the other. That's just to kind of to let it know that the drummer is playing it as well. It's not. It's kind of like it's not robotic. It's not like even though I triggered it with MIDI from the keyboard, it still just makes it sound like it's naturally played by a drummer. Obviously, you can see I have some EQ on the hi-hats as well. Okay, on those hi-hats, and that's really the drums in that section. And we'll just add in some of the other sounds as we go through. You've already heard menace bass. And you already heard these kind of pads. I'll just bring these in. You've already heard these in. I'll bring all these back in. And you got the vocal sample. And you can hear all those sounds together. They all sound really good, but it's really when this kind of sound comes in, it kind of beefs up the bass. And they're just really the kind of differentiation between the hook, the verse and the hook as well. Really, these kind of sounds just kind of give it a more thicker sound. I'll just play these two sounds on their own. These two synthesizers. So this one is kind of just like an ARP kind of synthesizer. It's called Sandcastle. It's in massive. And what did I actually play? Let's see. Yeah, it's just kind of following the bass line again. It's not really anything crazy. And it just kind of adds another kind of element to the mix of the hook. And that voice of reason there just kind of adds like a pad sound. Again, it's just playing the same notes as that kind of. Second now. And that's really what's in the hook, really. That's really it from the hook. what makes it different, what makes this track different, is really the vocal samples. Like if you listen to it all together now, it's the vocal samples that make everything. And you can hear what this one is doing. And you can see the kind of production elements that I kind of do in this now. There was no bass there. I take the bass here and then I bring it in, I bring it back in again, take it out, and I've taken out the hi-hats here. I've added the hi-hats here, and it's just all about like leaving some space. So like for this section here, it's just the rapper really rapping. This is either a singer singing or the rapper actually singing the hook. And that's the hook there again. This little section here is the whole verse for the rapper. As you can see, there's a little section here where I just take out a load of instruments, and that's just because I wanted to pull the energy before we break back into the hook again. So we'll just play some of the verse there. And you can hear the change-ups between the vocals, and that's what really creates this song. It's the using the vocals as kind of sounds within the mix, and that's really it for the whole beat. Really, that's the whole beat. I just kind of just take things out and bring stuff back in again. I have a little bit of a bridge. You can hear that here. This is where I took the energy out of it just before. It's like the last bar of the verse. I take all the drums out and let it build up to the hook. And I just let the last two vocals play there, and you can see that I just kind of pull back the notes. I pull back the MIDI notes there on all this, so it just plays everything and then just leaves just the two vocals. But it just leads everything up to that, and then it plays the hook. In the last section of the hook, I take the drums out as well, just to kind of let the instrumentation play. And then it just goes back into the hook, the verse again. Then that's the second chorus. And then at the end here, I kind of have a little bridge. This is where I just left the hi-hats in and just kind of let some of the instrumentation play, and then go back into the hook again. And that's all there really is to this beat. It's like intro, chorus, verse. It's kind of, that's like a pre-chorus, and then it goes into the hook again, back into the second verse, hook, bridge, chorus. And that's really it, guys. That's how I created this kind of Wiz Khalifa kind of. It's kind of more like ASAP Rocky now, thinking of it, but it's kind of like Wiz Khalifa it's kind of stoner vibe to it. It's kind of electro hip hop as well. It's kind of a cool beat, and I kind of like this one because of the vocal samples. I'll just let this section play through, and then I'll end up. Don't forget to check out the next video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's anything that I didn't cover in the video, please make sure to leave some comments in the video, and I will try and get back to you guys. Thank you.
Corporate thief beats.com.